Welcome to another episode of Hashtag Her Chosen Story. I am your host, Clivia Allen, and today we have a very, very special guest. This is my first male guest. I decided to bring men on into our conversations. Yes, the show is called Hashtag Her Chosen Story, but we know that men have a story to share. And I met the following guests on a platform. We were in an affirmation room. Now we're in another room where we just start our day off with accountability and intentions. So I'm going to play our intro, and without further ado, I'll bring our guests on right after then.
Is her story. People, be brave, be beautiful. This is her story. Her story. This is her story. People, be brave, be beautiful. This is her story.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed that intro. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to the stage none other than David Williams, also known as Spades Man. All right. All right. All right. I hope everyone's clapping for David because right now he's the first of many. All right. So Mr. Spaceman, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you here, sharing this space with me. Thank you for reaching out, and really getting this started. And I hope other men would really be encouraged by
Mm.
seeing you on the stage and sharing your story. Um, Again, we met, I would say a year ago. I've seen you in the affirmation space and I've
Yeah.
heard you affirm yourself and you shared some of your vision, your goals, and what you're currently doing. So tell the people who you are. Tell the people who's Statesman.
Oh man. First of all, much love and gratitude for being open to me connecting with you in the first place. And
Yeah.
Spades Man came about because I am multi-gifted, proudly multi-gifted. I'm an author. I podcast. To differentiate myself, I decided to make fragrances to go with my books.
Okay.
And then I also am in the wine space because I love celebration. And what got me into all of this stuff and calling myself Spades Man was really studying, not a fanatic or anything, but really finding out why you drawn to certain cards and playing cards and things like that. And I really resonated with the Ace of Spades energy. It's innovative, it's honest, it's
Yeah.
transformative. And I
Right.
realized that entrepreneurship wise, I am the only person in my family at the moment that is pursuing the grand scheme or the grand vision. So I'm the
Yeah.
only author, I'm the only podcaster, I'm the only person who decided to make fragrances. Like I'm the only
Yeah.
person doing that. I have other entrepreneurs in my family, but in terms of that arena, in terms of
Yeah.
building like that kind of brand, it's me. Like it's just me because I
I'm gonna
felt like
tell you what.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna I'll tell you what, and I'm so glad you said what you said because that's why I had to. The show was originally called Hashtag Her Story, but I had to put the word
Mhm.
chosen in there because it's the same for me. I'm the only one that's doing all these things, and my family's like, "What's Clivia coming with next?" Whether it's talk about business, whether it's sharing
Yeah,
information, being online, and they're like, "Oh," and I decided the word chosen. I believe in the word of God, and it says we're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and I'm like, I am
mm,
chosen out of my entire. I mean, on both sides. I'm the
yeah,
one that's doing and doing and doing. So it's really profound to hear you say that you are, I would say you're chosen to do these things,
yeah.
and it seems like you're doing it well.
Yeah, it's definitely been trials and
Oh yeah.
tribulations. It
Yeah.
definitely has. And
Yeah.
I that's when I really started believing in, your words have power, right? That's what they
Yes.
tell you like all the time. And a
Hmm.
lot of the amazing things, and I get teary-eyed when I talk about it because I at one point felt as though I shouldn't be in the rooms with certain stuff, like certain great things that were happening,
Yes.
right? Because I didn't
Yeah.
come from I didn't come from that.
Right.
So my thing was
Right.
at first, uh, man, do I belong here? But then I had to stop. Like, yes, I do. What am I talking about? Like these
Exactly.
moves and things that have come wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
came if it wasn't meant for me to do something with them,
Yeah.
right? And so the road to greatness, or the road to kingship or queenship, whatever you like to call it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's not an easy road. It's not.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
but as one of my books says, heavy lies the head that wears the crown, right? And sometimes you can have people that want to help, but maybe they don't know how, or maybe they're not sure if they can help, or whatever the case may be. And so not taking it to heart was the game changer for me. Not taking it to heart
Right.
when people would leave. Because
Yes.
I shared this on Clubhouse that when you first get into business, the first thing they tell you is that your word is everything. Your word is
Right.
your bond.
Yeah.
And I took it to heart at one point when people would say, yeah, yes, I'm going to support. I love the fact that you're writing books and this,
Mm-hmm.
that, and the third. But then when it's time to support and show out,
Where
it's
you at?
crickets time. Crickets.
Yes. Yeah.
And so keeping God in center has really allowed me to get past that. But when I first got into
Mm-hmm.
business, I was really confrontational beyond that, because I was told for so long that your word
Right.
is everything. But then you get into
Yes.
business and it's like, well, this person said that they were going to go to this place, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They said that
Mm-hmm.
they were going to buy the product, but they didn't.
Right.
So is there like a clash of ideologies here? Like, what's going on here?
Right.
Like, I had questions.
Yes.
I had questions. So it's been a
Yeah.
journey, but I'm glad that I decided, okay, God, I'm gonna give it to you. And
Mm-hmm.
He is the source of my willpower and faith and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll
That's
go
that's
more into detail like as we go. But
yeah, that's definitely key. I mean, I also share when I was in high school, I went to school for technology. In 12th grade, I fell in love with business. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to pursue this. What
yeah,
got you started in regards to, yes, you are the first in your family doing all the things, but what really inspired you to take this route? I mean, from writing. And I mean, I have even jet, you're about to be a certified jet broker. I want to hear more about that. Like, what got you started and so enthused and understanding, yes, your source is in
mhm.
God. And did it was it always that way? Did it happen along the way? What was that journey really like for you?
So it happened along the way. Originally, what I wanted to do was go to work, and I was it. Right, go to
Hmm.
work my way up to manager if it was allowed, and then go from there. And what happened was I went into work one day. Mind you, I had been on time. I had done everything that I was supposed to do. I didn't give them any signs, that I couldn't be reliable or anything like that. And I was told that, hey, listen, David, you're a great guy, but we're downsizing. We're laying people off. We're shrinking the company a little bit. And unfortunately, you didn't make the cut. And at first I was pissed, and rightfully so. At first I was pissed off. But what got me into this whole thing of ownership was not wanting to be in a position where I was at the mercy of somebody else. Because at work, that's what I was. I was at the mercy of having to walk on eggshells, having things that I wanted to share, but feeling as though I couldn't. And so I kind of asked God out loud, what do you want me to do? What is my calling? What am I
Hmm.
called here to do? I know that this job right now just isn't it. Like this
Right.
isn't the end all be all. So
Right.
as they say, ask and you shall receive. And the
Hmm.
first breadcrumb, I call it breadcrumbs, that I received was I started writing on the weekends. For those who
Okay.
don't know, I blogged first before I jumped into writing books, because I wanted to be comfortable with the idea, because I had never done it before. So I started just observing things, whether it was at work, whether it was at home, whether I was out and about, and a thought came to mind. I just started blogging. I just started blogging my thoughts. And a friend of mine at the time, we're still connected to this day, she said she caught a glimpse of one of my blogs. And
Hmm.
she said, hey, man, like, I think that you should write a book.
Okay.
I think that you're onto something. I think that you have a lot to share, and you should share that with other people.
Right.
And I sat on it for like a day or two.
Hmm.
And that's usually how I know when something's for me. Like if I
Right.
sit with it and it doesn't go anywhere, it's not a passing thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know something is for me. And that's what happened with my books. Now,
Right.
it took me a year to write my first book.
Mm-hmm.
This year, actually, come 2025, will make it 10 years. Just books by itself.
Beautiful.
I've been doing it.
Right.
And it was June 15th, 2015, when I first got bit
Mm-hmm.
with the bug to write a book. And
Yeah.
I wrote the first book that I wrote was I'm sorry, An Eagle Eye with a Lion's Heart,
Mm.
How Introverts Can Break Through Barriers. Because I
I
started
love that.
doing a deep dive into
Right.
lions and eagles and how when they have a
Mhm.
vision, they can see it from miles and miles and miles and miles away before they
Right.
even get close. And when I first got bit with this entrepreneur bug, that's what it was. I had a
Yeah.
vision that I knew I didn't want to be just an author and that was it. I knew that I wanted to be in multiple avenues. I just didn't know what
Right.
it was.
Yeah.
And so when I got to book number 5, that's when I branched out and I got into podcasting. And I
Mm-hmm.
started to look at success like it was a castle because I'm
Right.
visual. So I looked at it like it was a castle. So my books are the first layer. My podcast is another layer. And then
Mm-hmm.
once I got to 100 episodes in my podcast, I said, you know what? Nobody's really pairing a fragrance with their books. And that's one of the things that they say, like, what makes you different? And I was like, well,
Right. That's a key question. Yeah.
nobody's really pairing a fragrance with their book. So I felt like, okay, this is a way in for me to kill two birds with one stone. So now I'm in
Mm-hmm.
two different industries. And so
Okay.
um, the jet stuff came once the other stuff was already laid out. So,
Okay.
so I'm currently sitting on 8 books. I've written 8.
Wonderful. And
Um,
are these available in ebook, paperback? What does that format looks like?
yeah, so they're available actually in all 3. So ebook, paperback, and hardcover.
Okay.
Because I do have an audience that likes both. So I always make sure that when I put a book out, it's available
Right.
like in all 3 like platforms.
Wonderful.
And the jet stuff is my current focus, but that's
Okay.
because the other stuff is already laid out.
Yes.
I have to
And
I have
that's
to
key.
I
That's
have to make
key.
sure
I'm
to tell
actually
people.
gonna I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. We
No, I was
vibing.
gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say that's really key. And I'm glad you said that. I actually reached out to one of my, and I'm sorry for any background noise. That's
No,
what happens when you do things um outside of a real studio. But I reached out to one of my younger cousins. I am planning a men's webinar because I believe men need to come together. And maybe you guys do, but I don't know because I'm not a male. But I'm like, you know what? My brand is chosen. So this theme is called Chosen Men. I'm actually going to put it up
mhm,
and it's going to be in March. And it's really to bring men together. And I'm glad that you said you basically set a foundation, right? You
yeah,
set a foundation. Now you have a new focus. And I believe men need to hear this and they're eventually going to hear the episode, but
yeah,
you must have a vision, right? And write your vision. Habakkuk 2 verse 2 says, write your vision, make it plain. So you
mhm,
had these things already laid out. You reached the 100 episode. Now what's next? What makes you different? Now you have the fragrance. And
yeah,
now you're focused, like you said, it's like a cat. You're not stagnant. And
right,
I share part of my story where I was married, and in that marriage, I wanted to grow in love, not fall in love.
mm,
And we didn't grow together, right? So you even could relate that to business where you have a strategy. And I want you to also talk about that business strategy. You have a strategy, that
mhm,
plan, and then you would go back and then you would have to change a few things because now you're growing, you're more knowledgeable, you have more wisdom, you
yeah.
understand how to budget, you understand how to network, you understand how to the money's there, right? And now you got to just tap in and it'll come. So what does that look like for a young person trying to figure out, okay, I have this idea, I don't know where to start, I'm stuck, or I already did this, what's next for me? What does that look like for you? And what business strategy, like what plan did you have?
Um, so what does that look like for me? I'd say immersing yourself in the content of the life that you want to have. So because I'm visual and everybody learns differently, but I'm visual. So if you want to have a house, right? Example, you would surround yourself with people who have a house. You would surround yourself with people that have the car you want, or whatever
Mhm.
it is. Could be anything.
Right.
But if you're trying to figure it out yourself, you can only go so far. And so if somebody is new to the world of entrepreneurship, I would find one or two people, because there's an
Mhm.
abundance of information. So I would
Right.
find one or two people that I really gravitate to. It could be
Mhm.
musicians, it could be writers, it could be
Right.
marketers, it could be
Yeah.
anybody. But
Yeah.
limiting it to one, two, maybe three at the most. Because what
Mhm.
happens is when you're new to the space, when you're new to the space and you're just finding people to follow, you can be overwhelmed with information.
Right.
So if you're new to the space, would be one of the things that I would recommend is
That's good.
um, find your mentors from afar, is what I call them.
Mhm.
Because they've already been where you are. They have the home, they have the family, they have the house, they
Right.
have the car, so on
Right.
and so forth. And so just absorbing their content, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a YouTube
Mhm.
video, whether it's certain music you may like from them.
Mhm.
Musicians was a big key point for me and
Okay.
making the business decisions that I made,
Yeah.
was changing the music that I listen to, right?
Okay. That's
Because, and
good.
that's another part
Good.
that they don't talk about, is
Right.
it seems really simple, but the music that you listen to on a daily basis, it influences your decisions. It
Your
influences
mindset and
what,
everything. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So if you're new to the space, do like a small change. It doesn't have to be grand,
Mhm.
but change your content as you go.
Yeah.
And then I
That's
find
good.
that certain things will stick out, and then that'll influence your decisions. So that's what I would do, like if I was fresh, new to a space and I was a baby,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah, like find people that are doing what you want to do. So that way, even though you're not copying them, it's not
Mhm.
copying, but you're taking bits and pieces and parts of the journey that you can relate to and applying it to
Mhm.
yourself.
That's good.
So to start out, that's what I would start. I would find one or two mentors from afar, maybe three at the most, and then
Mhm.
seeing what nuggets they can share that you can apply to your process.
Okay.
Um, you are also asking about strategies.
Yes.
Um, so a strategy that I use is I have what I call a three decisions per day rule. That's one
Okay.
of my strategies, because a lot comes up in this world of creativity and entrepreneurship and networking and all the stuff.
Mhm.
A lot comes up. But if you have your core decisions that you know that you need to make throughout the day, it's a compound interest. So even though you may not see the results today, eventually, eventually you will, if you continue to have those three major decisions that you need to make.
Mhm.
Could be small, could be big, depending on what you're aiming for. But
Right.
having like three, and now three is my number. It could be different for everybody, but
Right.
three is the number that comes to mind for me. And just
Okay.
compound interest over time, and not feeling as though you have to have, which I'm guilty of, where you have to have everything figured out within two
Right.
days.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you just got on the journey. Like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
You just got
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
having 3 to 4 things that you can do throughout the day, and
That
just
is
having
good.
it compound like over time.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
one of my strategies, like to start off with.
Now, does that change from, the get-go, or do you stick to those, let's say your number is 3, do you stick to those 3, or can it change over time, or should it
Yeah,
change?
it can change over time. Again,
Okay.
but that's where systems are really important.
Right.
Like,
Right.
my books now have a system, right? Because
Mhm.
at one point I was just consistently putting them out. So now,
Okay.
because I was consistently putting them out, now I can kind of be like hands off, and I can focus on something else, right?
Okay.
Versus writing a book during in the morning, or starting a book in the morning, and then in the
Mhm.
afternoon I'm doing my podcast, and then seven
Right.
o'clock at night I'm doing my fragrance. It's like,
Right.
pump your brakes a bit, pump your
Yeah.
brakes,
That
know you
sounds like
eat
me, honestly.
it. I'm talking from experience, man. I'm talking from experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you
But
have
no,
a book on business strategy? Like in regards to those three components, do you have a book where, again, thinking about those that are trying to get started in this entrepreneurial? Because even my children, I have two children
mhm,
about to start middle school, high school, and I'm like, you may go to college, you may want to go trade school. My daughter wants to be an entrepreneur. My son wants to do entrepreneurship, but he's still trying to figure out what he likes.
mhm,
What would that look like for and a mutual friend of ours, she's about to release her third book, and it's for high school students, high school
mhm.
graduates. So in
Yeah,
regards to them really figuring out, for I would say you're a young person that been through it, right?
right.
Would they be able to read a book from Spades Man in regards to what this would look like, speaking from firsthand experience?
Yeah. So, m- my one of my books, it does talk about strategy, but that's not the purpose
The
of the book.
core. Okay.
But I do talk about strategy in it, like what got me
Okay.
involved in all of this stuff, and it is
Okay.
called. Uh, Stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready. This is.
There you
Um,
go. I love the
so,
cover.
so this
Awesome.
is heavy as the head for those who wear crowns, and
Wow.
in there I do a
You got
deep
some
dive.
really good titles. I must tell you that. Your titles are
Thank
like,
you.
that's good. That's good.
And um, in that book, I do talk about strategies. I do talk
Okay.
about what got me into wine and fragrances and what has kind of been the core, which is my
Hmm.
grandfather. He's no longer with us,
Okay.
and that was a key part of me doing this. Right, so
Okay.
I went down to Mississippi to just pay my respects. Right, because I
Hmm.
don't like funerals. Like I like
Okay.
good vibes. I like good food. I'm all about
Yeah.
the good vibes, but
Wine and fragrance.
but uh, but my mother called me and she said that your grandfather had passed, and I
Hmm.
think that it would be really profound for you to come down and um, to the funeral. So we went out of town. He was buried in Mississippi,
Okay.
and before that, I was very much carefree. I was very much wanted to have fun over responsibilities. I was a teenager and all this stuff.
Hmm.
And when I got there, the amount of people that came out and said that if it wasn't for my granddad,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have gone to school. If it
Wow.
wasn't for my granddad, I wouldn't have started my businesses. If it wasn't for my granddad, I wouldn't have done this.
Wow.
And when I got back home, I didn't tell anyone, but when I got back home, I kind of just nodded my head in agreement and I said, I get the assignment. Like I get
Done.
the assignment.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I have like this natural energy
Yes.
and it just there's no supplements here. There's no coffee. There's just
Right.
like there's no I don't need it, external sources. Like it's just
Right.
natural. And
Yeah.
because I
That's
said yes,
yeah.
God gives me the willpower to do all of this stuff. And I
Yes.
told my
That's good.
grandfather that even through dreams,
Hmm.
that when it is time, which it will be eventually, no time soon,
Hmm.
God willing,
Hmm.
I want to leave on empty.
Yeah.
I'm committed to leaving on empty, whether it's
Yeah.
meant for me to write a book, whether it's meant for me to start a business, or whatever it is
That's
that God calls me to do. Um,
yeah.
I'm leaving on empty. And since then,
Good.
I have not waited because I felt like I
Yeah.
was waiting. I was waiting for somebody to help. I was waiting for somebody to buy my stuff
Yes.
and support. And then
Right.
somewhere along the way, I said, no, I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of
Yeah.
waiting. So that's where I've been like ever since. And so I always give credit
Hmm.
uh, to what my grandfather built. And so now I'm
Right.
just carrying the torch from where he dropped it.
That's legacy. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
definitely building a legacy. Where can we find your fragrance? I'm allergic to perfume, but I would still like I really do enjoy supporting people. So even if it's something I can't use, I'll purchase it and gift it to someone. Where can people find these wonderful books? Even the book that you recently just showed, I would love to purchase that for my son and check out your other books. And I'm pretty sure those listening would want, I hope they're intrigued by, everything you're sharing, that they would too want to purchase. So we're going to have your links on the bottom in the description of the episode, but I'd like you to also share where they can find your fragrance, where they can find their wine for their next event, their birthday, anniversary, just to have it on the shelf to support. Where can we find these
Yeah.
products?
Yeah. So the books are on Amazon.
Okay.
And then Heavy as the Head is also in Walmart.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, because when I first got started, I wanted at least one of my books in as many places as I could put it. So
Mm-hmm.
it is in Walmart. Heavy as the Head is in Walmart. And then um, another book that I've been promoting as well is Make Your Own Luck.
Okay.
And that stemmed from just being in a mode of reflection.
Okay.
I come up with my best stuff when I'm either reflecting or in times of tragedy.
Okay.
And Make Your Own Luck was written last year. I wish I had a copy. But it
We
is
have
on
it on the
Amazon.
screen. Okay. That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it's
Talk
on Amazon.
talk about it, because I'll tell you why. I have a book that I republished,
Mhm.
second edition. It was back in 2010. I actually thought I wrote it in 2007. Never intended to publish a book. I just had this crazy ideas in my head, put it in a composition notebook, got increased on my first credit card, and I'm like, okay, time to publish a book. And
Yeah,
I did, and people were waiting. They were waiting for the second edition, or at least book two. And it took me 16 years. So last year I revisited the book,
yeah,
revamped and edited and added a couple of more chapters. And it's called Luck, Chance, Coincidence, God's Favor. And it's a novel, a love story of two people meeting not by luck, not by chance, not by coincidence, but God was the one that really did that for them. So now looking at your book title, Make Your Own Luck, I need to hear about it. Make Your Own Luck. What is that about?
yeah. So Make Your Own Luck came about because, again, being in reflection mode, I realized that in all of the rooms and situations and conversations I've had, it didn't come from somebody putting me on, quote unquote. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't come from somebody putting me on. It came from recognizing that something in this particular conversation might have resonated with me and expressing interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, that was pretty much the gist of the message of the book, is that you don't always have to feel like you're waiting on permission from people.
Right.
Because if you're waiting on
That's good.
permission from people, you'll be waiting 50 years
Right.
and you'll still be in the same position saying, I wish I could have did this.
Shoulda,
I
coulda,
wish I
woulda.
could. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of an extension of Heavy as the Head
Okay.
unofficially. And so
Okay.
that was kind of the gist of Making Your Own Luck, is
Okay.
encouraging other
Just
people
do
that
it.
maybe
Yeah.
you're making your own luck and you don't realize it.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
you are. Or maybe you need encouragement to make your own luck,
Yeah.
whichever
That's
one
really
you
good.
fall in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the book that I dropped last year. And I
Okay.
asked you also, because people loved it so much, I actually came up with, oops, I actually came up with a notebook. So
Okay.
notebooks.
Can
Uh,
you open it? Is it just lines and they can, like, a journal type of thing?
yeah. So let me see. So
And you
it's
got the cards in the back. That's awesome.
yeah.
That is awesome.
So, and I appreciate people that resonated with that message, like by itself, because I wanted
Yeah.
my books to kind of turn into a movement.
Yeah.
One of my books to at least turn into a movement, and so it ended up being Make Your Own Luck. And so I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that people have resonated with that book in particular,
Yeah.
even if they don't buy anything else. I appreciate any support that comes from anybody that buys
Definitely.
my books. Um,
Yeah.
as far as the fragrance, I do have to restock. I do have to restock
Okay.
the fragrances. So whatever book sales I make, they always
Mm-hmm.
go back into my fragrances or my wines
Got
or
it.
whatever else. Um,
Okay.
but if anybody wants to connect with me and talk more about it, they can. I have two Instagrams. So
Okay.
one of my Instagrams is blessed spadesman underscore. Um, and then on there, I share any events that I go to or any books that I'm promoting. And then I have another Instagram, a backup one called, you had asked a little bit about the jet stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
page is strictly about like travel and jets and what I'm learning about private jet brokerage, because that is
Okay.
that's the course that I'm currently taking. And
Okay.
so if anybody wants to find out more information about that, that is my backup. So it's Jet Renaissance Club, just like that, no underscore, no anything.
I'm trying to get this in here.
Okay.
All right. There we go. Um, that is really good. Really, really good. I think again, we go through life and different so many so many different ups and downs. And I remember just putting off going back to school,
Yeah.
right? Um, I was working at a hospital, which wasn't my intent. Again, after high school, I wanted to just go to college, learn more about business, start my business, which would have been either dance studio or just something along the line, something, a passion I probably would have grown to have. But I always loved dancing in the church,
Yeah.
praise dancing, liturgical, modern type dance. And I got the opportunity to work at a hospital as a front desk receptionist. I got married while I was there, had 2 children while I was there, but I knew I wanted more. I knew there was more. And I wasn't getting promoted. And I was training people and doing all these things and not getting paid for it, but I loved my job. I would always say that I love my job. It's okay. They don't have to pay me. Not maybe realizing my worth, right? And
Yeah.
I went back to do my master's. And I remember even talking to the advisor, and he was like, "You're going to keep putting this off." Because I called one year and I said, "Okay, give me till next year. My daughter was just born. Give me till the other year. She's, all these different excuses, right?" And
Yeah.
then this one advisor was like, "If you don't start now, you'll never start. You'll always have an excuse." And I went
Mm.
back to school, still didn't get promoted. I relocated from New York to Florida, and opportunities are now happening, right? And I love the title. Again, even though my book title is Luck, Chance, Coincidence, God's Favor, make your own luck. That's exactly what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And I had a worker that said, make room for what's coming, because I was doing the posting in the morning, podcast in the afternoon, doing this at
Yeah.
night, something in between, all the things you mentioned, but understanding that success comes in different ways, and we really got to have a strategy for all of that. And I really had to find my way and understand that I'm chosen to do this, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, because I know I was called to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And even mentioning the word success, what does success look like for you? Because for me, I told my son, he took some aeronautics classes. I'm like,
Mhm.
honey, we need a jet flyer. We need a pilot in the family. We need a black man flying a pilot, right? A black
Yeah.
man that knows Jesus. So it's a nice, a nice package. So
Yeah.
even to hear that you're taking this course and we're going to follow you, I'm going to put it back up where we can connect with you in regards to that. Like for business owners that they want their own private jet, and
Mhm.
again, people are sometimes fearful, like, oh, I don't think I can do this. I don't understand how to do this. Just like some people want to buy an island versus buying a home,
Yeah.
right? Investing in different things. Like, how do we do these things? But there's people that know. And I think you might be the guy. So share a little on, putting aside fear and what
Mhm.
that looks like in regards to success.
What does success look like for me?
Mm-hmm.
Being on my own time 100% of the time.
Okay.
Um, Not necessarily having to say, well, I want to do this, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't right now.
Right.
And that has been like, my friends always say, um, that I can get you pregnant with ideas because I have plenty. Like, I have plenty of ideas. Like, they
Right.
just fall out of my head. And
Yeah.
success for me is freedom on all levels: financial
Okay.
freedom, spiritual
Yes.
freedom,
Mm-hmm.
emotional freedom, mental freedom,
Mm-hmm.
all the different types of freedoms. Not being afraid to walk into a space.
Right.
And I'm big on freedom. Like that's my word for, or one
Mm-hmm.
of my words for the year of 2025.
Freedom.
And being able to just invite who I want to invite on the journey. It's open to
Mm-hmm.
everybody. It's always
Right.
open. But being
Yes.
able to just invite who I want to invite on the journey, not feeling as though certain people that you want to invite are pre-selected,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
you didn't have a choice in inviting this person along,
Who's riding with you? Yeah. Yeah.
right? So outside of financial successes, that would be my definition of success for me is freedom at the highest level
Mm-hmm.
and being able to pick and choose who to pour into, who wants to come along, who
Yeah.
wants to do business with me, and just freedom at the highest level.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
so I'd say freedom.
That's really good. And I'm glad you said the word freedom because something, even in being in the affirmation space, I
Hmm.
remember in 2023, every day I would write down ask, seek, knock. We had to choose a word and it was ask, but the acronyms was ask and it shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open. And at the
Hmm.
end of that, all right, I'm ready. The beginning of 2024, I got a call, the opportunity to be a director of a logistics company. And I said,
Mm.
oh, I took a pause and I'm like, God, is this what I said I was ready for? Because I wanted to be able to lead a team. I wanted to be able to just be a light.
Yeah.
And I ended up saying yes. And I started this job in May of 2024. And I find myself, I mean, the ability to even have this interview with you, we know the time and day that it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had this freedom if I was doing my regular 9 to 5. And
Right.
I know that that is God making room for more, right?
Yeah.
And having this freedom, it's amazing. And even in success, I remember even sharing a video with someone and they called me and it was like, oh, you only had 2 views. And I'm like, that's okay. That is
Yeah.
okay. Because I know success is not even about views. It's not about followers. For me, it's
Yeah.
making impact, even if it's for one person. Jesus
Yeah.
left the 99 or the shepherd left the 99 and he went after the one. So if I can
Mm.
help one person, that is success for me. So I really, yeah, I love that you said the word freedom because it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that's actually what drew me into this whole world of like jet brokerage now. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
actually what drew me in, right? Because, um, as you said, like, ask and you shall be given, or ask and you
Mm-hmm.
shall receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about that in one of my books, but I kind of approached it from the standpoint of, oh, well, maybe one day it'll happen. I know it'll happen, but maybe one
Right.
day. Was I
Yeah.
expecting at the top of 2025 to say, yes, jet brokerage is on my
Right.
horizon? No.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
at all. Yeah.
No. But I have this thing, like when I'm really drawn to something, what I'll do is I'll go out and I have private jet printers coming because I feel like your environment is everything.
Yeah.
Your environment plays a part in what comes into your life.
Mm-hmm.
So because I've fallen in love with travel, I have a beanie that has a hat on it or
There you
has a
go.
plane on it. I
Yeah.
have private jet posters that are on their way. And I
Yeah.
have, because I can go look it up on YouTube, but for me, I like things that are tangible.
Yeah.
So even though I'm in the private jet community too, um, I took it a step further and I bought like posters.
There you go.
And I post them like I don't have a vision board. I have a vision wall. like,
I hear that. I
have a
hear that.
vision
Y'all hear
wall.
that vision wall? Get you a plain wall.
So instead of going out and always having to buy like poster boards,
Mm-hmm.
I just changed the pictures that I have up. So now my
That's good.
pictures are kingly stuff and
Yeah.
spade stuff and
Yeah.
private jet stuff
That's
because that's
good.
what I want to pour. That's what I want to pull in. So
Yeah.
we can have like a total separate conversation about manifestation. I'm here for it. Like I'm here for it.
I
But
got you on the affirmation space. We'll have you on as a guest.
yeah, absolutely.
For sure. For sure. Now, I know we didn't touch base on art gallery. I did have a note on art gallery. Tell me a little bit about that. And we're going to wrap up soon, but I
Okay.
want to hear about art gallery.
So art gallery, again, I'm about the Renaissance. So everything that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing is connected. And I realized, uh, thanks to mom, because she loves art, I also
Okay.
have gotten the art bug. So I'm always buying pictures. So I
Right.
was looking up, thanks to Chat GPT, I
Mm-hmm.
was looking up something else that I could incorporate when my jet brokerage is up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And they had suggested that one of the things that I do once I'm at that level is um, for people that buy certain tier levels or packages within
Yeah.
like the jet brokerage, they would not only get access to the jet itself, but they would also get access to a cosmic art gallery, which I thought
Okay.
was dope. So it'll have pictures of like space and planets and that kind of thing to kind of bring in the message of sometimes the universe is within you. It's not always on the
Yeah,
outside.
right.
So
That is true.
Cosmic Art Gallery is part of the brand, but it's not up and running
Mhm.
yet. Okay, one step at a
Okay.
time. But
That's
yeah,
exciting. That is
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up. But let's hear some advice from. I mean, you shared so much, right? And I
Mhm.
hope whether who's listening, you taking notes or you can always watch this on replay. You know, tell our audience or give our audience advice. I mean, male, female, youth, old. For me, I know one advice, even listening to, it's never too late to start, right? And you
Yeah.
can live your dream. And you just said it. Sometimes the universe is not outside; it's inside of us. We just got to tap in, right? So,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for our audience?
Advice. So one of the messages that I've been getting from the beginning of my journey is think big from the beginning. Right? A lot of us are told that we should start small and grow as we go. Right? But one of the things that I've been learning is that yes, there's nothing wrong with starting small, but I feel like if you always stay small, you'll eventually like get bored. You'll eventually get bored of the dream or of the whatever process you're in. And so one of the books that I've been reading is it's one that I've frequented a couple of times. It's called 10X, The Difference Between Success and Failure. And the person who wrote it, that's one of the things that he talks about, right? Is one of the mistakes he made was not thinking big from the beginning, being around people that will always tell you that you should start small. But sometimes your dreams and your vision isn't small. Like it's not small whatsoever. Right. And so kind of reverse engineering it a little bit and giving yourself space, being flexible with the dream and whatnot. But don't be afraid to think big from the get go. Right. Like I know a lot of us are told that we should start small, but if you're always focused on the small stuff, I feel like eventually you'll get bored. So thinking big from the beginning and asking yourself, when I do get to this level, how will I feel? Like if somebody blessed you with $100 million tomorrow, how would you feel? Would you go out and buy something small? Maybe, maybe not. You might go out and travel. You may go out and do all the things that you were called to do. So thinking big from the beginning has been one of the things that has helped me stay in the pursuit of whatever financial level I want to be at, right? So think big from the beginning is one of the pieces of advice that I would leave with the youth, with anybody that wants to follow is if you think big, you'll find other people that also think big, that aren't trying to shrink it, that aren't trying to tell you, well, I don't think that that can be done, right? When your content, as I explained earlier, is focused on people that are at that level, that are at that big level that you want to be at, it plants a seed in your brain like, you know what? Yeah, like it is doable. I've watched a bunch of people do it before me. So why not me? Why not you? So that would be my piece of advice is to think big from the beginning and write it down. Like
Yeah,
write
that's
it down
wonderful.
in detail. What is your big, massive, audacious, oh my God, I need all the faith I can get type of
Hmm.
dream? Like what is it?
Yeah. That's,
And then you can always reference that later on. So think big from the get-go and from the
awesome.
beginning is the advice that I would leave.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I really want to thank you for, again, taking the time to join me here on this platform, and I applaud you. I applaud you and I congratulate you on all the big things that's happening. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
some people they focus on the small things. And I mean, for me, I do celebrate the small because I know big is coming. It's
Yeah.
going to be big. It's
Yeah.
going to be massive. And think big, people. Think big. And again, Spaceman, David, we thank you for joining us. And just remember that you are chosen for such a time as this. I look forward to even connecting with you for the men's webinar. I would love to have you as a speaker. And I mean, choose any one of your books or all of your books if you want to talk about it. But men need to be introduced to you. I really do celebrate you. And, you know, the best is definitely yet to come.
Yeah, I appreciate finding yet another person that could come along with the journey, man. I appreciate
For
it. So I'm
sure.
glad to be here. Glad to connect
Thank
with
you.
you officially. Yeah.
Thank you, David. Well, we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. Well, guys, that was a wonderful, wonderful episode of Hashtag Her Chosen Story. We had David Spades Man Williams on. Here is again where is his a clip of his book, Make Your Own Luck. I mean, what a title. I mean, that was an eye opener for me. So you can find his books on Amazon and other platforms. He did mention some are also available. Heavy is the Head by David Williams is available at your local Walmart. But we will have his contact information. If you guys want to connect with him, ask him a question, just tap into what he's doing and just show support. And support can be free. You know, we understand at times it might be hard. Repost what he's posting, share part of his story, share this video so others can get to know who David Spadesman is. Here is again the workshop or webinar that I'm hosting. I am not a male, but I believe men do need to come together. So I'm hosting the Chosen Men virtual event of 2025. It'll be on Wednesday, March 26th at 8 p.m. After you get home from work, or if you're headed to work, just tune in. We'll have some speakers, some vendors. I hope that we can have some of David's book on sale, and just supporting men, because I support women, but I also do support men. And I'm, again, really, really happy for the opportunity that we had today to connect with Mr. David. All right. So we are about to wrap up. This episode was sponsored by yours truly. It was sponsored by me. And that's another thing. If you want to sponsor an episode, again, it's about showing support. It's not about the money, but we know that some of these things, all of these things does take money. So if you want to be a sponsor on one of our episodes, reach out to me. We do have a sponsor sheet. And again, it's really supporting your business while supporting me. All right. So here we have my new book, which is Luck, Chance, Coincidence, God's Favor, second edition. Thank you again for watching. And we hope to see you on the next episode of Hashtag Her Chosen Story.